Hello guys and welcome to this episode of a viability review. This week we are going over Tyr. Tyr is the lawgiver, the Norse god. If you're new to a viability review, it's basically the series where we go with unorthodox and non-traditional support picks, and we kind of go over if we think they're viable, or I do, if we think it's viable, if we think it has merit to it, if it could work out in competitive. So this time we're going with Tyr support. A little info, I wanted to say that we're going to be doing one viability review a week now. It's going to be consistent at this time. It's going to be 11 p.m. CET, and that's like 5 a.m. EST. So that's the time we're going to have viability review. So yeah, let's get into Tyr. That sounded really wrong. Tyr's passive is called Unyielding. It means that stun, fears, intoxicates, and mesmerizes cannot affect Tyr for longer than 1 second. Now this is a pretty good passive. It's not all CCs, like slows are still there, roots are still effective to Tyr, but in general, like, it's a really good passive. Yes. For the support role, I think it is pretty damn good. It's like a really good support passive, honestly. It means that you are gonna have a harder time getting killed. It means you're going to be like this really annoying guy that's just gonna run around, and even if you have CCR, you can get stunned for like 0.6 seconds. That's nothing. He has certain counter matchups he's gonna do really well in because of his passive. So overall, his passive is super good for the support role. Moving on to Tyr's 1, Fearless. Obviously Tyr, we should do the stance switch first, right? Like, Tyr has a chain stance. Tyr changes between assault and guard stance. Changing stances refreshes the cooldown on Fearless and power cleave. Boom. Assault stance, he gains physical power. Guard stance, gain protections. Yup. Well, that's it, right? He gains 10 to 50 power and 10 to 50 protections of each. Now this ability is super strong for support. Getting the ability to like gain 50 power or 50 prot depending on what stance you're in is really good. The kind of sucks you can't max it, but in general I'd say it's a super good support ability, and I think it's something you should like maybe even put points to in before the ult. But yeah, I really like it. Tyr's 1, Fearless, obviously, in his in his Guardian stance. He just dashes through. Tyr hits each enemy only once, passing through them. In the Assault stand, Tyr pushes all enemies along with him, hitting them 2 times and knocking them up into the air. Pretty decent CC. You can kind of control people. It works well for peeling as well. I think there is a lot of merit to like his kit as a support. I think he fits pretty well in general. It does quite a bit of damage. He's super deadly like mid game with it. Yeah, I think if like you can use the 1 for the manipulate the wave, push back if you get like 2-man Fearless, etc. I think it's super strong. Tyr's power cleave, his 2 second ability. Get this huge shield here in the Guardian stance. He heals himself for each enemy hit, max 3. So that heal is like 300 and something, plus your some scaling, and it does quite a bit of damage in the damage stance. On Tyr support, you want to max the 2. You start with your 2, then you could start with your 1 as well. I just think starting with the 2 is better. I guess for the CC, starting with the 1 might be slightly better, but I started with the 2 in my games. But yeah, level the 2, then level the 1, then level the 3, then level the ult. Obviously take the ult at level 5 and don't take any points before your 1 and 2 are completely stacked up. Tyr's ult is called Lawbringer. Tyr leaps through the air, bringing indiscriminate justice upon all enemies in the target area, and he slows them. The slow is pretty good. It's a 3 second 25% slow. It's better than Terra. That's very nice. Does decent damage. It's a 75% increase in scaling. That's why I think probably leveling chain stance is gonna be slightly better. But yeah, pretty weak ult though for support. Like, yeah, sure, it's a good slow. You can like chase people, but I just think it's CC immunity, right? Which is what kind of makes it good as well. But if you think about traditional support ults like Terra ult, Jeb ult, Savannah's ult, Back is ult, Athena ult, like they all supports kind of have insane ults, and Tyr just doesn't really have that. That's one of his bigger weaknesses, that his ult feels pretty lackluster as a support player. Let's go some of Tyr's stats now. We talked about how we're leveling him. Now Tyr has pretty decent stats. He has okay health, like his base, prot, and physical. There's nothing too great about it. Like, it's definitely worse than a Guardian, but he's okay. He's really good base MS. Is one of the big pros as well. 375 is really a lot. Yeah, so let's go over to the pros. Now Tyr is super hard to kill. As we mentioned, he's like super hard to kill when his passive is up. He's gonna be this raid boss that just runs around and is super annoying. He has his heal, he has his double dashes, he has his ult, he has his passive protections. I think Tyr is one of the most annoying guards in the game. Late game, it's super hard to kill Tyr, and I think that makes him super strong. Annoying guard. Now, do you think he fits better into the soul lane? Yes, I do, but let's wait a bit with the conclusion. We'll get there. But as I mentioned, he's super annoying. Tyr as well. Like, by the way, sorry about that. It's I'm taking care of my sister, and she's kind of ill, so that's her you can hear in the background. It's not someone dying. Don't worry. Gonna keep going here. He's super annoying, right? Like, how is a backline? How are you gonna peel Tyr? Like, you need knock-ups or knockbacks or something like that, and I just don't think that a lot of like guards right now in general like can deal with a Tyr. He's so annoying. He has like knock-up immunity is one of the big things in his one as well. Knockback as well. Tyr Fearless kind of beats everything. I think Zowie Pluck might be the only thing that beats Tyr Fearless. But he's super strong late game, I think. Well, super strong build as a warrior, right? Like, as a traditional support, I don't think he's very good late. We'll talk about that a bit later. Anyway, Tyr does a crap ton of damage for being a support because of his switch stance and because of the scaling and the natural base damage on his abilities. You can't really ignore Tyr. I think that's the biggest point here. Like, if the Tyr's on your ADC, you can't really ignore him. As an ADC, he is gonna like almost kill you and get you out of the fight. And if Tyr can get the enemy carry out of the fight, you're probably going to win that fight. He has pretty good CC. It's nothing perfect, but like he has a fearless that's up relatively often. He has his ult that slows. I think he has okay CC. It's like, I would put that as a pro. Like, you can definitely get like, you want to go blink on him, by the way, but yeah, go blink, get some good fearlesses. You have a slow, you can kind of often get your one off. It's like consistent CC, I guess it's a better word rather than good CC. About the whole annoying part, hard to kill part, Tyr is also super mobile. He has high mobility, right? I talked about it before. He has double dashes. He has like his ult as well, and he's very hard to kill in general. He has decent peel as well, Tyr. He can peel his backline pretty well with Fearless. You can kind of control where they go with the Fearless and the 2. Has a slow, is pretty good at getting in front of stuff and like breaking CC with his passive. And then I think Tyr is pretty okay early. He has a very scary mid game where he does a lot of damage once you hit like a level 11 or 12 and you have a lot of points into your 1 and your 2. That's when you're gonna hit your power spike as a support, at least, where you want to try and fight as much as possible. His early game is okay. I don't think it's like anywhere close to some of the other warriors like Erlang, Odin, Amy. Some of those warriors are like way better. Yeah, that's the pros for Tyr. I think going on to the cons. A big cons for Tyr is he can't really get breastplate, and I think breastplate is insane on Tyr because you want cooldown reduction, and building breastplate on Tyr support means you won't have auras. It means you're gonna go for a build where you're gonna need So if I guess you could go breastplate hardward, but you're still gonna be lacking aura super hard, and that's one thing that feels bad for him, is that it's hard to build CDR right now on warriors in the support role, because then why are you gonna get Genjis, then you can't get hardward, you're gonna get breastplate, then you can't get soft, and you kind of need it early on as well. So I think that's honestly his biggest like weakness as a support, is he needs cooldown reduction, and he just can't really get that. Well, he can, but then your team's gonna be lacking auras, and I think auras are more important. So that's like the biggest hinder for Tyr right now. Sure, you can probably wreck with it in a casual or low level rank game, but when it comes to those team fights later on in competitive and high level ranked, mid level ranked, I think you can definitely feel the difference. Sure, you're gonna have an unkillable Tyr running around, but your backline won't be having these auras, and it's gonna be super hard for them. And therefore, I think Tyr feels pretty bad late game. If you build auras, he feels like an aura bot, like he does decently. There's not too much you kind of feel like you can do. You're not really killing anyone. Sure, you're getting good CC off and you're not really dying, but if you're not really dying, then you might as well pick someone like Terra that doesn't really die either, but you have an ult that contributes a lot more. You have like probably better CC with the walls and stuff. And I think again, he's not the best early Tyr. I did mention it as a, like, it's not a pro, but like he's semi-decent early. I don't know. I just feel like if you're picking for pressure early on, you don't want to pick Tyr. Then you want to pick something else. You're picking Tyr for his scary mid game. You're picking Tyr for his mobility and unlikeliness that he's gonna get killed. It's hard to fight if people try and avoid Tyr in general. If you don't have blink up, it's really hard to initiate a fight. Sure, you can ult in and like feel as someone, but that's just an all-in play that might go down the drain, you know. So I definitely think that's one of Tyr weaknesses as well. Like, he's super hard to fight with if people are playing scared. And in this Phoenix defense meta, which I feel like we're going towards, where people just sit under their Phoenixes and let other people have FG, is it really worth it to have a guard like this? When you can have something else that's a bit better sieging? And I don't know. It's kind of a one-trick pony, right? With the Blink Fearless. He needs Blink, that means he can't get one supported relic. I mean, sure, you can argue that Jeb and Sylvanas needs Blink, but not to the same extent. It's definitely good, but for Tyr, Blink is just a necessity. Without Blink, you're gonna be completely useless. And then I think Tyr is actually relatively easy to kill when he's ulted, because you're not too tanky, because you don't have that soul lane farm. You're not super farmed like the enemy soul laner. There's no way you're really like... Like, you're not gonna have the gold to invest into the items that's gonna make you this tanky unkillable guard. So you really need to snowball hard. And if you want to snowball hard, why wouldn't you pick like even good golden support, which I think is pretty insane as well. Going on to my experience with builds on Tyr in general, I started 2 games with Assassin's Blessing and tried to do some weird stuff. I must admit, I was kind of tired when I recorded it, so I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna test this out. Try and do some double jungle as well. I think it worked out pretty okay in general in the second game. It was just because my team had no idea. In the third game, I was just feeding my brains out, literally. Like, what mid laner stays at the speed buff? You just throw an ability and run, right? But this mid laner stayed, and then I died. It was really sad. I tried Guardian's Blessing. Guardian's Blessing felt good on him. I'm kind of sad I didn't get to try Warrior's Blessing or Mage's Blessing. I think those two can be very viable as well. I think maybe Warrior's Blessing is the one that has the most potential, right? Or Mage's Blessing, if you want to try and get full pressure. Because I think Warrior's Blessing is super good, because you don't take a lot of damage from minions at all. Once you have that, you can kind of just face tank minions. Works out really well with him being the sustained guard as well. Mage's Blessing for the CDR mainly, and the extra damage would be super nice, I suppose. I would be scared he's going to be too squishy and too easy to kill. But that's how you want to start. Start with Chalice of Healing, get multi-potions. You don't really want to go Chalice of the Oracle at level 1, because you really want some sustain, you want some mana. You can buy Chalice of the Oracle on one of your first packs. When it comes to boots, I think there is merit to both. Warriors tab buy, if you want to do a lot, if you feel like, yeah, I'm going to do a lot of damage. Or Telerus boots, if you feel like, yeah, I need to be fast this game. Thebes doesn't really work out on him, because in general, when you're playing warriors, you don't really want to build Thebes, because what are you looking to do with a warrior? You're looking to snowball early, and the best way to snowball early right now is to hope that the enemy guardian or whatever, it's gonna be the other opposite, like support role. you better hope he's building Thebes, because if he's building Thebes, that means you're gonna have sovereignty before he finishes his Thebes, like even before he buys it, and that means you can force fights and force stuff and become this super fat monster, and you might even be able to buy a late Thebes and stack it before the enemy support. So don't start Thebes, start soft, start breastplate. Honestly, it's just rough with breastplate because you're gonna be missing the aura. Hard ward is good. I really like relic dagger in Tyr because it gives you more engages with the blink and it gives you the cooldown you need. So I think like a good Tyr build would be double blade, right? You have your wing blade, you have your relic dagger, and then you're gonna have your like sovereignty, your magical defense, which could be pestilence, hard ward. You can even go for like Genji's guard shoguns if you need that, and then you could finish off with like a mantle of discord or a spirit robe. Even Magi's Blessing. If you can swap physicals, you can swap out the second magical defense item for like Spectral Armor, Hidden Nemean Lion or something like that. Relic wise, you always want Blink, and then the second relic is kind of comp dependent. I think Fawns is the way to go, because you really want that Fawns to be a threat to them in the backline, just to make sure they can't just start hitting you in your face and you die. I think Fawns is a necessity in general for warrior supports. In my experience in my games, Tyr felt like it was doing a lot, but at the same time I felt like I was doing nothing, you know. It's that feeling of your attack, like controlling the enemy team, you're pushing them around and everything, and then suddenly like your whole team is just that. I feel like you need to peel a lot more on Tyr. It's like not that you need to peel a lot more, but you have the decision to make. Am I gonna keep the enemy ADC out, or am I gonna peel for my own team? Like, you can't really do both. Whereas a Jeb can blink ult, engage, and then shield the backline. So you can't really blink ult and then just go back, you know? That's just so rough, you know? So I think from like my experience with Tyr, other relic options real fast could be like Fawns, besides Fawns, could be Shell, Heavenly, Horrific, even Med. I say start with Blink though. You can also build damage in Tyr. I've actually thought that Shifter Shield didn't feel too bad. I think Void Shield is pretty good as well. But yeah, do I think Tyr is gonna work out? I think he can work out in ranked. Again, it's the main thing with most of these cards, right? They can work out in ranked if you get really good at it, but in competitive, I don't think so. And if I think it has to work out, it's gonna be a very comp specific game. It's not that someone's just gonna start playing Tyr support and wing it. I honestly don't see that happening. So Tyr, yeah, sure, it could happen. Do I think it will happen? Probably not. But that's pretty much it for Tyr. I'm sorry this was one of the shorter ones. I really didn't have too much time to put this together. I'm not too enthusiastic. But I think it turned out pretty well regardless. And again, we're gonna have the next viability review next Tuesday at the same time. So who should I do next? I've heard a lot of afros, I've heard a lot of chucks, I've heard a lot of things. Like, let me know down in the comments which cards you want to see. And also make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and press the bell. And as always, until next time, guys, peace out.